the challenge to build two machines that start touching one another. One moves apart half a meter, waits 3 seconds, throws a ball to the other part of the machine, which catches it, waits 3 seconds, throws it back to the first, waits yet another 3 seconds, and finally moves back together to touch. This is our project. Our project is called Nayanders. Naya means new in Hindi and Anders means different in German.
Hand 1. So if you look underneath, this is our drive system, which consists of 2 dowels with a double CD. Supported by washers and supports. We have this trapezium shape because that's the most sturdy shape to stop this from ripping off, because as you can see it's held in quite a lot of tension. So it's rolled up and held in tension with this middle little piece of dowel that's glued down here, and then a second rubber band is stretched across and attached to a pin that's up in front here. If you hear this, you can tell that they're pretty taut right now, ready to go. Okay, so that's step 1 in setting it up. Now if you look on this side over here, there is this string that's attached to a stopper. I am going to pull that and stick it in very gently to our bottle right here. So when this rolls back, it's going to wind the string up and yank this out. And this is going to be filled with sugar, which I'm going to fill up right now. As you can see, we have attached this in the least possible place. See, it's so easy to pull out. Okay, the last bit I set up in the sequence is our stripper blank, which is over here. I am going to place it right on top over here. Finally, the ball is loaded. Notice this strap, not strap, this little flap thing that makes the ball fly straight and not too high so it hits our catcher.
Which then funnels it down the tunnel and hits this little flap, which is positioned to help triangulate it into our catapult. It triggers this flap, and there's a marble.
If you notice, as the ball moves down, there is this toothpick that moves down with it, right?
Okay, so here's the marble, and when that thing moves up, it will fly down and push this slider in this position so that when the slider goes, the sugar
we can't fill in too much sugar because
the marble then might not be able to move the plank enough to let enough sugar come out because of the weight bearing down on it. Meanwhile, here is our second pedal system, which then winds up this plank that is positioned here, which gives it exactly 3 seconds once it's like that. At which point it then flies down.
whoops,
like that.
So the ball falling down.
Ball falling down triggers the stripper plank, which then triggers the second catapult to fly.
And gets caught there.
Meanwhile, the paddle wheel is still continuing to turn and pulls up the last trigger, which pulls out the rubber bands, which are set up in the same way as the first machine.
What's this interesting looking thing, Mushu?
This weighs down the front of the machine to counteract the sugar that is on the back side.
Have you wound up the second machine, Mushu?
Yep.
Alright, I think we're ready to go.
I am going to pull the pin. Start the machine.
I did not wind it up enough. Oh, is it stuck? Should I just pull it out? You can cut that like that. Obviously the machine didn't go exactly how we wanted it to go, so I'm just going to take you through what went wrong and what we could have done, or where the machine could have been improved. The drive system worked pretty well, but I think the rubber bands were wound up in enough tension. And when we do put this plug in, it depends very exactly on how much it's inserted inside. And so if while setting up we push it in too much, then the force of the driving system isn't enough to pull it out, and that's something that's very chancy. So if we had managed to find a better trigger for that, or found a way to ensure that the drive system was powerful enough to yank it out each and every time, that would have been a lot better. Also the paddle wheel, so you might have noticed it's stopping at certain times. I needed a little push to get it going a little more. The reason why that happened was because the sand was falling out of these corners, and as much as we try to reinforce it, well, not the sand, sorry, the sugar, as much as we try to reinforce it, it was a very fine balance to strike between actually making these too heavy and too bulky to move, and at the same time managing to keep the sugar in it. So yeah, the paddle wheel had worked a little more fine. Everything else worked pretty well. This shot in a straight arc, this pulled off pretty fine, and yeah, that's machine one.
So the ball didn't fly into the catcher though. So other than that, just to reiterate, the paddle wheels, while this one actually worked fairly well, did get caught once the tension started, whoop, and that went, started getting here with the pin.
The pin probably needed a little too much force. We should have made a way, either made this stronger or made that easier to pull out.
If we would have, so the other thing is that this was so slack the whole time that it took a while for it to actually get into tension. If we had had it. The one other thought we had was, if we had had a dowel here which had the string wound up at the beginning, and then as this turned unwound it, that would have kept this. The string therefore was taut the whole time, and the pin would have flown out more easily.